Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Sharang and Sharvari. So, first of all, thank you so much for all the likes, shares, and subscribes. Thank you so much for all the people who leave their comments and their criticisms, constructive or not, and as well as your praises. This really helps us and the channel. And we are always, as always, we try to put out great content for you guys. So, since last time it was my idea where I talk about, and do check out that video by the way, guys, where I talk about the different warrior groups and what was it that gave each culture its unique edge in terms of warfare and what allowed that culture to dominate their geographical area. And today it was Sharwari's idea where she said that, what do you think about romanticizing life? And what do you think about having sort of a romantic and aesthetic outlook on looking at life? So I think I'll let Sharwari take the topic forward.
Sure. So, firstly, what do you think is romanticizing life?
Well, from what you have explained to me, I think it's like, let's say, life in the modern world can be pretty mundane and boring and sort of mechanistic.
Yeah.
So, but beauty is something that nourishes the soul, right? So, why do we care about all the art? Why do we care about cinema? Because they speak truths to us which are so profound that they are beyond the mundane reality of modern life.
Correct.
So,
I
that
think
is
sorry.
no, no, please.
Okay. So I think what romanticizing would be, or if I were to describe it in a very small way, I think romanticizing is when you really put an aesthetic angle to everyday mundane things.
Yeah.
So, for example, you have your morning cup of coffee every day, right? Everyone might be doing that, but then add that extra milk heart, or you add that you put it in a nice aesthetic cup, so you make that extra effort to make your life less mundane or less routine, and then that same cup of coffee is something that you can look forward to every day because you have really
Beautified it.
beautified it,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's not
similar to
mundane.
the Japanese concept of bonsai.
Oh,
They have
really?
these small, like, Japanese rock gardens,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, the
Japanese
tree,
bonsai.
the shrub, I think.
No, the Japanese bonsai is something like it's a full-grown tree, but it's a
Okay.
miniature version. So they cut
Oh,
and prune it in some way. So that's a Japanese concept. So imagine a giant tree, but it's literally this much.
that's super interesting,
Yeah.
actually. So I think, like, the Japanese are, of course, they have a lot of these concepts, or they may have different names for it, but I think what we can speak about in this video would be romanticizing. So what do you think, Sharang, is a great example of romanticizing life?
Well, the first example that I can think of is C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
He was the creator of Narnia, he's the author of the books
Yes,
Narnia.
that's true.
And his quote lives with me to this day, which is said, ever drifting down the stream, lingering in the golden gleam, what is life but a dream? And our ancient ancestors, they saw life as this unending series of psychedelic experiences, is the best way I can describe it. So if you look at it from the perspective of an ancient Indian, right, his morning began with the sun rising in the east, and he saw it as a literal god of fire, and he would say Om Bhaskaraya Namaha, that is like, oh, I bow down to the sun,
To the sun.
right? And he saw, so the when he would look at the forest, he would see a living deity to be worshipped, and that is what it means to be polytheist. It's not so much; it's that you see divinity in a lot of things which people think are mundane, and you don't see God as something abstract in heaven which you can't see or can't feel or can't hear. You see something as all around you.
Hmm.
And like the whole, like we have this concept of matrubhumi, punya
Yeah.
bhumi, karma bhumi. Like matrubhumi means motherland,
Hmm.
karma bhumi means the land where you do your karma or actions, and punya bhumi means literally that piece of land upon which you acquire punya, that is good karma for your soul,
Oh.
right? Just by existing on that. So that is how our ancestors perceived the very soil that they lived on.
Hmm.
And modernity, in its eternal quest for rationality, stripped all that away. And somewhere I think we need that sort of deep spiritual outlook because that's what nourishes our soul. That's my opinion. Over to you.
That's true. And I think all of us are somewhere romanticizing life in our own ways. Like, there's no set way to do it. But in my opinion, it does add that bit of interest or a bit of flair, I would say, in your everyday life. So maybe, like, we'll share how we romanticize our lives. What I like to do is I like to follow a set routine for my, like, after my bath. So I make sure that I use good luxury products and things like that. So it makes me feel better. I could use a normal cream, but then I, tend to use a cream that smells good, makes or adds that little flair to my life. Or the bed sheets that I use, I make sure they're matching. I also have that coffee logic in that I make sure that my coffee is in a specific cup. I haven't done it recently. I used to do it. So I used to really put my effort into creating the coffee and putting that froth on it, things like that. How do you romanticize your life, Sharon?
So I was like, of course, I think everyone knows that I'm a scientist, or I was for the longest time, until I decided to move to a commercial aspect. And as a scientist, you're particularly taught to focus on rationality. So you're taught to ignore your personal biases, you're taught to leave all that aside and just pursue the cold, hard facts. But at some point, I had sort of a spiritual awakening where I felt like something critical was lacking in my life. And that's what got me to believe in God. And that's what got me interested in the Bhagavad Gita or Vedas and so on and so forth. And today, I would say that I don't really like try to make my surroundings beautiful in that sense, but I seek out beauty. And for me, the most beautiful thing ever out there is nature. So today I was just walking. I took like a 6 mile hike through just a mountain, and I saw a peacock cross my path, and it was so beautiful. I saw two peacocks actually, because I chose a time where literally no one was there, so it was just me with a giant walking stick, and it was just beautiful. Or one time I was watching the sunset, and it was along the Mumbai Pune highway, and it's still the monsoon, so it was raining. It was rainy, right, and the forest was green and beautiful. And as I was watching the sunset, I just kept thinking of Rashmi Rathi Krishna ki Chetavani, where Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, "ये देख गगन मुझ में लय है, ये देख पवन मुझ में लय है, मुझ में विलीन संसार सकल, मुझ में लय है झंकार सकल." That means, look, the sky is within me. The wind is within me. For in me there is divine sound, and in me there is the entire cosmos. And it was so divine and so beautiful. It made me feel profound beauty and profoundly connected, because we try to think of ourselves as us, right? Self, a self-contained, isolated unit, and that could not be further from the truth. We are part of a sacred chain and web of life, and to truly feel that connection to everything else around you leads to dissolution of self, and it's a profoundly beautiful experience. Over to you.
That's extremely pretty. I mean, uh, seeing beauty or noticing beauty in everyday life is something that everyone should do, because somewhere we tend to go behind like deadlines, or we have routines to follow. We get up, we have breakfast barely, and we get out of the house.
Yeah.
But these small actions, these small choices can really help your life become more colorful. So that is what we call the umbrella term as romanticizing life. There are a few other romanticizing life concepts that I would like to share. So people will think that, this is pretty basic, but it really helps me. I always use a good smelling fabric conditioner after I've done my laundry. So when I wear clothes the next time and they are freshly washed, they have that distinctive smell, which really kind of heightens my senses. So when I think about romanticizing life, I think it is also feeding all of your five senses.
Okay.
So
Can I interject and ask you a question?
yeah, sure.
So you said you try to beautify your surroundings, right? And obviously there's no functional utility to anything you do, right? So of course your answer would be, yeah, I do it because I like it. But if I want you to think deeper about it, and I really want you to go into your innate, maybe subconscious and unconscious motivations, the profound why of it. Why do you seek to beautify your surroundings?
I think, like, if I give a long and hard think about it, I think it would be maybe a bit of the way I was raised somewhere, because like my family, like we used to celebrate a lot of festivals, so we really put in that extra effort to make our home look something different than normally what it would.
Yes,
Or yeah, I
but
guess.
if you think about it in brutal terms, and evolutionary terms, right? Beauty does not seem to serve an apparent purpose. So why do you think there's this much focus on beauty when it is apparently counterproductive, or at the very least it's neutral?
Because I think without beauty, it would drive us all to destruction.
Yes, but why? That's the profound question.
That is actually a good question. Have
That's
you
what.
cracked the code?
No, I have a theory about it. So I think that we are the only society in the entire history of mankind, to the best of my knowledge, which has such a brutal, mechanistic, materialistic outlook on life. And if you think of everything as dead, inanimate, not having any innate beauty, then it leads to profound nihilism within the soul. And that's not how we are programmed. And the reason why we seek beauty is because I think beauty speaks to us subconscious truths that we cannot understand and that we do not even know how to articulate. So for example, when I look at you, right, and I find you beautiful, it's not that okay, you have this kind of a nose, and it's not like your physical dimensions or whatever, your nose is, I don't know, 22 cent, whatever. It's not that. It's like I'm seeing how my past led me to my present, and I'm also seeing a potential future. And that's what I see when I see you or when I see my friends. And that is why we find things beautiful. So when I see the sun rising in the east, I think somewhere deep in my soul, I'm cognizant of the fact that my survival upon this planet and that of every living being is contingent upon a nuclear reactor in the sky.
That's a very nice way to put it,
Yeah.
actually. Like, it's a very different outlook on the whole romanticizing thing. But when I think about like whether to romanticize life or not, so I know people from both areas. I know people who say that, is it really necessary? Because then you're creating something that is fake. But I would argue not exactly, because romanticizing your life is not, buying something expensive or things like that. You can do that if you want, but it's also in the simple choices you make in your everyday life. So having your lunch in a different plate that looks better, or arranging your plate in a different way rather than what you would normally would. So the same food, you're going to eat literally what you're eating, but it's more aesthetic.
Yeah.
So,
But okay. No,
yeah,
so like, but that's still not an answer to people who say, why do you do it? Other than I just like to do it, right?
yeah, like I don't like I haven't, as I said, I haven't cracked that code.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't have an answer to why people do it exactly, but my reason is why you should do it, maybe.
Okay.
So I think everything in this universe strikes a balance.
Okay.
And if life becomes too monotonous or too routine, it would rob us of the beautiful experiences that this world has to offer.
Yeah.
So like your life becomes more robotic.
Yeah.
In a way.
I mean, yeah, sorry, were you saying something else?
No, that's what I wanted to say.
So I would not speak at the level of individuals because individuals always vary, right? And it's very difficult to predict the behavior of an individual human being. But if you look at large groups of human beings, like the parallels to quantum mechanics are hilarious and true. If you look at you can predict reliably or with reasonable accuracy the behaviors of large groups of human beings. And if you look at societies through time immemorial, all of them have worshipped beauty. Every thriving society in the world has worshipped beauty, has had a concept for beauty, has erected monuments to beauty, and has had people who are engaged in deeply spiritual endeavors. And whenever there was a rise of atheism, whenever there was a rise of materialism to the detriment of everything else, that society laid the foundations of its own decadence and eventual decline. And
Right. That's true,
Yeah.
actually.
So I think it's not just something that you should do. I think it's somewhere necessary for your very survival as a society and as a people.
Correct, exactly. And while although like romanticizing life has a lot of positive benefits, as we said, now I think this video will take a slightly psychological angle.
Sure.
So there are negatives to this, trust me.
Yes.
And the negatives are something that we see a lot in life around us.
Okay.
So this is where this video becomes pretty opinionated, and yeah, people are they're not gonna like me a lot. But what happens is that people have this idea of something in their heads, that this is how my life should look like.
Okay.
And romanticizing life is a part of that, for sure. but you also need to be in a realistic approach. So this is where I agree with you on the point that you made before, that you need to strike a balance between romanticizing your life and being realistic. So there is someone I know, of course I won't take any names, but this person, so in like whatever in her life she does, she tends
His,
to,
her or his life.
yeah. Okay, so whatever is done by this person in their life, what tends to happen is that they, idolize everything. And then when life does not go according to plan, there arises a big disappointment or dissatisfaction, and then it makes this particular person really, get his or her mental health impaired.
Okay.
So this is the disadvantage of too much romanticizing.
Hmm.
So you're supposed to be realistic. You're not supposed to live in a fairy tale. This is what romanticizing life is.
Okay.
And it is meant to be simple everyday choices that in which you romanticize your life, and not big life decisions. So sometimes people, for example, marrying someone, you should not romanticize at all there, because you really need to be practical when it comes to shared values or common goals and interests. You should not romanticize the idea of a person and then be with them.
I disagree actually.
Really?
Yeah.
So?
So I think you should, even there, even when it comes to marriage, you should still strike a balance between romanticizing and being pragmatic. Because I think this is the central concept of Taoism, that yin has to balance yang, or Shiva has to balance Shakti.
Okay.
So let's say in your example, someone is 100% pragmatic, and I make a list of all my ideal attributes of a woman, and I find her, I talk to her, and I'm not attracted to her. And this happens all the time. Because
Yeah.
because ultimately it is not your choice if you're attracted to someone or not. So you should have some reasonable standards, but then you should be, in my humble opinion, you should be guided by your deepest intuition. So fundamentally you should listen to the voice of your own conscience, because I think things like choosing a life partner cannot be something that you can only decide by the brain. You have to take your heart into it. So balance the heart and the brain.
What you're saying is right, but I think what you're really implying here is being romantic or
Okay.
romantically attracted to someone. That is different in this case.
Oh, okay, okay.
Romanticizing someone is loving the idea of them
Okay, okay, yeah,
and
yeah.
not who they are as a person.
Now I get you. Okay.
Right, right. So of course, being romantic, yeah, it is necessary. I mean, you are attracted to people, that's why you choose them in the first
Yeah,
place.
then
But
I agree with you.
romanticizing people or romanticizing a career, this is what I'm gonna do because I like the idea of it.
Right.
But you need to see if you're actually cut out for that career.
No,
Things
then
like
we
that.
agree 100%.
So these are like big life decisions that you should really think about, and you should really make sure that you have thought about things before investing in a person or a career or any other life decision that you're about to take. So that is why I see people doing this a lot nowadays, and this might be a controversial statement, but Gen Zs, maybe the idea of something on social media excites them. They try to replicate that in their life, and it's not working, because then they have an idea that is in their heads, but does it suit me? Does it really work out for me? And I think this is the bigger question that we have to answer when we make these big life decisions. What do you think?
No, I agree.
Exactly, exactly.
I agree 100%.
So, yeah, so I think in this video we tried to put out two different, perspectives on romanticizing life.
Yes.
In my opinion, I would suggest romanticize your life in everyday things, like wear a nice outfit for yourself, or you can, prepare your favorite food, make it in the way you like, decorate it to the best of your abilities, things like that, that make you happy for like a short term. But when you take long term decisions, make sure they're really, really well thought.
Okay, so I think I disagree with you to a small extent.
Okay.
Because, like, I agree with you about the romanticizing and romantic. That's I agree.
Yeah.
But I think that these whatever you have suggested are great things, but they are a bit shallow.
Okay. How
So,
so?
like, because what I mean by romanticizing your life was in terms of like have a when you have an undying curiosity and a deep, profound search for the deepest truths of life, then the beauty of the universe itself and beauty of philosophy will reveal itself to you. And perceiving that kind of beauty will make you feel one with the cosmos, and it will enlighten your very soul. And I think, I'm not saying what you're doing is not important, but I think this is also very crucial because, as I said earlier, that societies which were too materialistic and ignored this deep spiritual aspect and about mysticism and find seeking beauty in the world, they failed as at the level of societies. And from my end, I would like to conclude with the words of the great Friedrich Nietzsche, who said that he who has a why can endure anyhow, right? And the material world does not provide a compelling enough why. And I think that these philosophical insights and the beauty of real philosophy and of divinity provides men and women with a profound why to act as a bulwark against life's suffering. Over to you.
Maybe, like, I think in this video, we ourselves may have, disagreed a bit
Yeah.
as a couple, but that's okay. I mean, everyone can have their own opinion, as we know, and everyone can have their own way of looking at the world. So nothing is right or wrong. I think we are all just different people.
I think it's important that we disagree because that's what brings balance to the world. Yin and
Exactly.
yang are meant to be oppose each other to some extent.
And we have finally agreed on that. So thank you so much, guys, for watching this video, and I hope you really liked it. We tried to bring a different topic. I always keep reading on Instagram that I always keep reading on Instagram about romanticizing life or different ways that you can do it, and it really got my wheels running. I was like, how can you do this in everyday life? Or what are some ways in which it's good, it's bad in your own life? So this is why I tried to make this video. Of course, we do appreciate that you guys are, subscribing to our channel. We see them going up every day. So thank you so much. And if you have any video suggestions, do make sure that you write in the comment section down below. We will definitely consider your suggestion. We would like to make it. So thank you so much, guys.
Yes.
And we see you fresh in the next video.
Yes, Jai Hind and goodbye. Like, share, and
See
subscribe.
you.